the ESS BIZTOOLS Accountants Minute podcast. Today we're going to be discussing Accountants Minute edition 351. Accountants must diversify now, top industry advisor. The top industry advisor was Andrew Geddes. And when Andrew speaks, I think smart accountants listen to him. Andrew has over 40 years experience in the accounting and finance industry. I first met him at the Financial Management Research Centre, which was at the University of New England in Armidale. And Andrew, together with Sam Beasley and other people, were running training courses for accountants to try to equip accountants to give real business advice to SMEs. That was over 40 years ago. And when I think back about it and talk to Andrew about it, a lot hasn't changed. The technology's improved. We've got a lot better computers. The tax office works a lot differently than what it used to. But we still have this problem of how accountants can deliver business advice to SME clients. Andrew believes that accountants have to move from this total compliance type approach to offering additional services. In fact, he said diminished returns flowing into practices relying solely on tax compliance work are going to impact sooner rather than later. And in making these comments, he was very well supported by the tax commissioner, who also recently warned of dark times ahead for firms that rely principally on taxation clients. Andrew Geddes believes that the smart move for accountants is to transition to business advisory services, but in most cases not 100%. Most of you will still want to prepare income tax returns for your clients, but perhaps it should only be for business clients and clients that you're offering additional services to. Those who just want a wage earner or salary earner tax return prepared can basically do it themselves these days, or there will be some accountants around who will continue to offer that service. Geddes suggests that you either sell the clients to another practitioner who's happy to start off with wage earners and salary earners, or suggests that they go off and talk to someone else. So where do you start in offering business advisory service? This is quite challenging for many accountants. I know that because people ring me and talk to me about it and say, where do we start? Well, if you've already got some clients, go through them, look at them. Who are they? What businesses are they in? Do you know much about that business? Or perhaps you need to do some reading. There's some interesting material which we are distributing these days for the service developed by Trevor Marchant on the Boss Factor Library. Trevor's got over 100 titles that he's developed with his wife, and they're available and they will help you come to a better appreciation of some of the issues with various businesses, and they're great to hand on to your clients. So Geddes says you should carefully select an SME to undertake a strategic review of where their business is now, especially with respect to its financial performance, margins, cash flow and balance sheet. Now that's as good a place as I can think of to start. Look at the clients with their businesses at present so that you can identify areas that you could identify as business improvement initiatives and work with the client to get that problem fixed. This is the strength of accountants, predicting financial performance and goal setting, then monitoring results. That's what we do. And in particular, it's what accountants do if they're working full-time in industry or commerce without the distraction of tax returns in many instances. I was the Chief Financial Officer and Company Secretary of a listed public company. The work that I was involved in was aiding the CEO and other members of the leadership team to have a better appreciation of the cost of activities. So costing exercises were very important. calculating what-if scenarios on a whole range of issues before the leadership team made a decision. Who do your clients go to get that advice? Because invariably they haven't got an accountant working in-house. Who do they go to? Do they ring you? Can you recall getting those phone calls? I'm sure you would, because some of them might come at slightly uncomfortable hours, but it's part of the course, I think, for accountants. So there's plenty of reasons to think that your SME clients may be looking for the same sort of input as what their colleagues who are running larger companies are looking for, but they have an in-house accountant, a chief financial officer, that they turn to for advice. And this is really what Andrew is saying. Pick some clients and undertake some strategic reviews. Andrew gave an example in the interview I had with him on a multi-size accountancy firm. It was 4 partners, about 40 staff, and the services that they offered. Now, what they did, they went through and listed all of the business advisory services that they thought they could provide. And at the end of this discussion, Andrew told me that the firms he was referring to, both the larger firm, 40 staff, and the small one practitioner firm, 4 staff, were both clients of ESS BIZTOOLS. So that makes it very interesting for me to now be discussing, because what they did, they had 12 in their leadership team. They went through and worked out the prime activities that they think their clients might be interested in, whether it's monthly accounts and making sure the chart of accounts is appropriately set up and everything else is set up. The key performance indicators are understood and are being calculated so that monthly financial accounts, monthly review of key performance indicators, comparison to budgets can all be undertaken at a board of advice. So they were allocating expertise to these areas. Perhaps the company is going to undertake research and development, need some advice on implementing the research and development system that's within ESS BIZTOOLS. Perhaps they have some issues on setting charge-out rates for a trading business or a manufacturer or a professional services firm. So they've got an expert to use the ESS BIZTOOLS material for charge-out rate calculations. Perhaps it's budgeting and cash flow forecasts that the clients need advice in. Or it's comparing the key performance indicators, what we call the business health checks within the ESS BIZTOOLS system. So they allocated these portfolios to their 12 leadership team members and then agreed that whilst a partner or a senior manager might be getting allocated to a particular client, that wasn't exclusive. So if the client needed some advice on research and development, the research and development expert within that firm would come in and give that advice. Now, these appointments weren't forever. They weren't lifetime sentences. They could move on and develop other skills and change the allocation of people on call for particular areas. I think that's a great way for a firm to get started on delivering of advisory services. Some practices will try to teach themselves all of this yourself, if you like. You'll need a few hundred hours, possibly more, and probably a couple of years of your life when you think about implementing all of the material that's necessary. Or you can subscribe to our material, which will get you started a lot quicker within a couple of weeks. You could be out earning fees and actually talking to clients a lot earlier than that, using the SME needs analysis, which is actually based on a document that Geddes produced many years ago, that with his permission, we've made some changes to it. So I think it's important that you clearly look at how you're going to go about outsourcing the services. Once you've worked out which products you're going to be initially able to handle, go through your client lists and identify the clients, particularly those who have been asking you for some extra services from time to time. Go and have a cup of coffee with them. Use the SME needs analysis to understand what's of concern to them, what wakes them up at 3 a.m. so that you can start discussing with them the services they want. Andrew's suggestion was you start with a small engagement to start with. So you try to pick the sweet spot and say, okay, that's what the client wants. Let's deliver that to them. It might be that debtors' days outstanding are too high. They're sitting at 70 days and they're having cash flow problems and the bank's not very friendly about offering additional facilities. So perhaps it's working over the next 3 months to get the debtors' days outstanding reduced. Might be the first cab on the rank that you look at doing. Or it might be that they don't understand what their team wants to do. So go through and interview the team members. We have a form that will help you do that so that you can allocate responsibilities, try to encourage your team to do some extra reading to better understand what's happening. Perhaps the client is quite happy for a virtual CFO service to be installed, which could require the business analysis, analysing the business 1 inch wide and a mile deep so that you clearly understand it. Because one of the challenges that accountants who have been predominantly working in the taxation area find when they go into advisory services is that you need to know different information about your client. You need to know about things that you probably never even thought about in the preparation of annual accounts and tax returns. Where do the supplies come from? How are they received? Is there proper due diligence? Is there an effective internal control to ensure that what your client's paying for, they actually receive? Because if you're performing a virtual CFO role, that's part of your responsibilities to make sure the systems are properly established. So I like to go and walk around the building, get a feel for how it works, talk to some of the other people, talk to the foreman and sub-managers to make sure they understand what are some of these key performance indicators reports that they might be receiving. Or if you're going to introduce them, that they do receive them, make sure there's some training. I found many years ago when I was the CFO of a listed company that the foreman didn't understand what this key performance indicator document was all about. In fact, one of them quite abruptly grabbed it and threw the CFO, threw the key performance indicator report into the rubbish bin. I said, what'd you do that for? He said, we don't understand it. It's all an accounting jargon. We're not interested. So I went back to their smoko room at lunchtime and said, with a whiteboard, and said, okay, let's work through this. What would you like to see? First of all, I had to explain to them what we were trying to show them. But it had been written by one of my forebears in an accounting document type set out. And they didn't understand it. No one ever trained them. So they ignored it. All that effort that the admin team were going to and various people around the plant was a waste of time. So we changed it. So that's some of the things that you'll get as you start going down this journey of introducing advisory services to your clients. There's plenty of opportunities in looking at the extra services that you want to provide. You just need to think about it and then work through with the client. Obviously, the client's got to pay for all this, so you need to be taking them with you in rather short steps. Some of your clients might have embarked on a research and development project, and they are getting near the end of that. They've got a working prototype. Doesn't mean it's going to be the final prototype, as many of the people that I've worked with have discovered. And even though it's their pride and joy, doesn't necessarily mean that external people, whether they're government officials or potential investors, are going to be as enthusiastic as what your client might be. So I think it's very important that the person inventing a new product or service clearly understands how the process works. And it does involve a number of other people. Will probably involve a patent attorney, because to undertake research and development and claim the research and development tax offset, they need to have undertaken some prior art searches to ensure that their R&D project is just not repeating the generation of knowledge that's already known. So they need to understand that process and talk to a patent attorney and understand how the process of registering a patent actually works and what the costs are. They then need to understand that your role will be to prepare or coordinate the preparation of a business plan, budgets, cash flow forecasts, and then to assist them in the valuation of the company as it currently exists. And the all-important question of, has anyone already contributed to this? So what volume of shares are going to be allocated to those people? And then as we approach trying to get some money, because this happens all the time, the patent process is going to cost $15,000 in the next 12 months. There's a need for your work, business plans, budgets, cash flow forecasts to be prepared. If they're looking to raise capital as a crowdsourced funding equity raising company, they need to have an understanding of how that process works. And within ESS BIZTOOLS, we have that material for you. But that will take you, I think, 4 to 5 hours to go through and make sure they clearly understand. Because when they communicate with a crowdsourced funding intermediary, which is the ASIC appointed person they ultimately have to deal with, because they list that company on their website, and that's where the public go to acquire shares in the company. They have to understand this process, because the intermediaries, the two of them that are very successful in Australia, are very busy. And they don't see that their role's there to do the training and mentoring of clients. They think that's your role, our role as accountants, because I've talked to the intermediaries. So this is all part of the process of work that you might discover. You might find that one of your clients has been doing research and development. Well, what can unfold from that is the business plan, the budget, the cash flow forecast, the projected balance sheets, the understanding of how they could make an investment presentation to a group of their friends and colleagues. They can't promote it if they're just trying to raise money under Section 708 of the Corporations Act. But that might give them the ability to raise $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to get over some of the initial costs of setting up a new project. And then they can move on. And then they might need to learn more about this whole crowdsourced funding, or it could be early stage innovation company process. So this advisory services flow, this journey starts rolling out. And there's some major government grants they might be eligible to apply for. And the federal government announced in the budget speech a few weeks ago that accelerating commercialisation, which was a grant program that had been around for 15 years. I was involved at the very beginning of that grant program as one of the representatives. That's now been phased out, but the government has announced a brand new similar type scheme will be launched later in 2023. I'm looking forward to that, because accelerating commercialisation was very important for a lot of businesses. They could obtain grants of up to $1 million on a 50% basis to take them basically from a prototype through to being able to enter the commercial market. So that's an interesting journey that you could participate in as the accounting advisor. to help your clients undertake that journey. And this is what Andrew Geddes is talking about, that there is a lot of work there that can be done. The other type of firms that Andrew referred to was a small practitioner. And the example he gave was a one-lady firm with 4 staff, some of which were part-time. Now, the sole practitioner basically performs virtual chief financial officer services for 12 clients, and that keeps her very busy. The team attend to the tax returns for those 12 clients and possibly their directors and family members, the shareholders, and for other small businesses and potentially wage earner returns. Now, I think that's a great example of how a small firm, one accountant and some other staff, can really get started in advisory services. So if you are a small practitioner and you want to continue to run your own business on your own, and that's great, why not think about starting to branch out and undertake clients on the advisory services and try to get clients where you offer a complete virtual CFO service, which also included in this case a business advisory services meeting every month. So the client also had their retreat planning in April or May each year to plan the following year, which is a great way to help your clients get started. So this is the outline of the journey that I think accountants can make. It's up to you whether you wish to work down that way. But Andrew Geddes, in the discussions I had with him, was quite emphatic that there's a lot of things changing, that you need to take into account in your planning. The taxation department are changing things through technology and improvements in software. In America, the market for accountancy services has shrunk. But what has grown has been this business advisory service, because there's a couple of million SME businesses in Australia, and they're not all potential clients. We all know some of those are 3, 4, 5 businesses still owned by the same people. But there's a hardcore group there of hundreds of thousands of businesses that are growing. You might be able to service. I want to quote to you now the words that Andrew used at the conclusion of our discussion, which was a podcast on our other podcast channel, Business Advisory Services. You're most welcome to listen to that if you wish. Geddes said, in summary, add externals, chief financial offerings, then financial services, if you wish, to avoid irrelevance. This is the big problem. Where are accountancy firms going to be in 5, 6 years' time? What sort of offerings are you giving to your team members to grow and mature in your services? If you would like to talk to me about any aspect of the services that ESS BIZTOOLS has developed to assist accountants and bookkeepers to offer better service to your SME clients, please don't hesitate to contact me. You can make a phone call, 1800 232 088, or send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Or please visit our website, www.essbiztools.com.au. Now, we have a special promotion underway at present up to the 30th of June. We have significant discounts on our product packages because I am determined to give every accounting firm in Australia the opportunity of being able to launch into this journey of discovery to offer business advisory services to your clients. I look forward to hearing from you. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.